Thank you for being here and for trusting truth and no longer wanting to be distracted from it and to try to understand, to know thyself, as our ancient Greek philosopher friends always advise us to do. And this is the place and the time to unravel, to see, to get away from false beliefs, and to drop all the rocks in our pockets that have been weighing us down, and to finally become lighter. And lightness is peace, and peace is everything. Oh, and I guess before we get started, I see a few have noticed my little shirt here. I hope you can see it okay. I'll let you in on a little hobby of mine recently. My newest hobby was to sort of do this, design a few things and put them on clothing. And so to share that with all of us, I've made a little shirt for accepting the universe as well. And so if you want one of them, you can get one of them. And actually, it'll be included with the subscription from now on. You'll get a free shirt with the subscription, which I thought would be fun just as a little treat. And so that's the new announcement, I guess. The subscription structure is changing quite a bit. I wanted to make it more accessible to people, so there are different levels now, whichever suits you best. And 2 out of the 3 levels include the shirt as a free gift. So I think that's pretty cool if we can share this together, and many of us can have one. As you know, it's not just a channel name, it's a bit of a phrase as well, right? It's about acceptance. It's about accepting everything, the way things are, the way reality is. And so I thought it's a neat little reminder as well. And yes, this absolutely retroactively applies to already existing subscribers. So if you're already a subscriber, all you need to do is I'm going to share the link. It's going to be available soon. You can order it. Like I said, it's free. It's only shipping. Right now, I can't ship outside the US just yet. That's much more complicated. So for now, it's US only, but we'll figure it out. And you'll just have to check the link to see if shipping's now available or what the description says of what's going on. But yeah, I thought this would be a fun little thing, right? I had a lot of fun making it. I think it looks kind of cool. It's fun. Okay. We have a few speakers now. I will invite the first one.
My question, or maybe a point of confusion, would be around reason. And one of your book recommendations, Simone Weil, Waiting for God. She's such an original thinker, and a lot of what she writes, you could think about one paragraph for, a week. There's a lot of depth in her writing, and I may be interpreting some of it incorrectly, so that could be an error on my part, but she seems to me to be very cautious or not trusting around reason and focuses more on attention. And it's hard to sometimes understand her, because sometimes, in Waiting for God, she's writing to a priest. These are just letters that she's written, but it almost seems like she feels reason can justify almost anything, and maybe the ego can be very tricky. And you mentioned on a lot of your podcasts, we're trying to see more clearly, and as we see more clearly, it almost seems like the ego gets more tricky, and it's also probably see more clearly too and getting trickier. So is can reason have problems? I don't have a specific example, but can reason have its own issues in itself? And should we be aware of something? Should we be on the lookout for something around reason? Because she seems to be cautious around it, maybe not trusting of it, and she seems to be more attached to attention. So that's where I'm going with my question.
Well, thank you for the question. Beautiful. I'm grateful actually in a way that you are reading Simone Weil. I think it's a beautiful thing to read, right? Among all the things there are too many books that we'll never be able to read, but if you are reading Simone Weil, I think you are in good hands, and I think it's a beautiful thing, and I recommend it, of course, to everyone. That's why it's in the reading recommendations. It's just a beautiful, beautiful work. And I want to ask you this specifically to your question: can attention exist without reason?
E- yes, I think so. Like you could be like your awareness could be there, and then you're using your reason to see clearly. Um, so yes.
Is reason of the nature? Is it akin to awareness or unawareness? Which
Mhm.
one does it gravitate to?
Awareness.
Right. So these things are all the same nature. This is a family. These people can't do without each other, right? So awareness, of course, awareness is always there. Everything, your being, your existence is once again, um, if it is not awareness itself, because we don't really know what the self is, right? It is once again, it certainly shares a nature with awareness. So whether the self is awareness or it is through awareness, however it works, right? It shares a being. It holds hands with awareness. The self does, and awareness holds hands with reason. Reason holds hands with attention. These are all sometimes also concentration, right? And this is all one family. On the opposing side, you have, and again, there's no opposition, there's no enemy, no such thing, just because we're intellectuals, right? We're intellectualizing right now. So we're thinking of concepts. And to make them clearer and more digestible, we're sort of given it these artificial categories just to be able to see things clearer, right? And so, in that sense, on the other side, you have unawareness. Now, what's the family of unawareness, we would say? It certainly isn't attention. It's inattention. It's recklessness, right? It's ignorance is on the side of unawareness, because when you're unaware, you are ignorant. You do not know. And you act out of unawareness, out of ignorance, recklessness, you could say. And distractions are on the side of unawareness, because when we distract ourselves, we go unaware. Distraction is certainly not on the side of awareness, right? So you can start to see these, and this is what Simone Weil did. Simone Weil was not a so-called philosopher in the academic sense. If you had Simone Weil as a professor at a university, first of all, she would never do it. But you could give no grades. You could write nothing. You could say nothing in a systematic way. We would say, what is this? She would never give you the same answer twice, right? So that's why she's often referred to as a mystic, right? As, for example, from older times, Rumi. A lot of people know Rumi. That's a mystic. And again, these are words, right? And words are very inaccurate, and these are words that are often overused and misused. Mystic to a lot of people means supernatural, mystical, right? That's not what this is whatsoever. A mystic is someone who is looking for an intuitive experience of truth. Again, not in spirits or energies or things like that, not mystical like that. Um, Mystic as in, this does not need studying. This does not need a bunch of learning. You certainly don't need to get a degree in this truth. they believe is accessible to everyone. And it is simple, because if something is for everyone, it has to be simple, right? Because not everyone can engage in complicated things. Complication is something that we do, that we specialize in, that we have expertise in. So this is an exclusive thing, right? But truth is not an exclusivity. Love is not exclusive. Truth is not exclusive. Beauty is not exclusive. But these things are everyone's. So Simone Weil is one of those people who says, well, I'm not going to look for it in an esoteric religion or in an academic setting, because these are exclusive settings, right? And so that's why you find her writings also beautiful, because this kind of intuitive truth, knowing and seeing, is more often than not is also very poetic, because it's not analytical, it's not scholarly, so to speak. So it's, again, on the side, if we're looking at sides, it's on the side of poetry, it's on the side of beauty. Not that something analytical or scholarly or intellectual cannot be beautiful. Of course it can be. But in terms of poetry, this is like that. And so, look, I'm not sitting here trying to convince you of, or we're not having a debate, you're also not doing this, where we say, how can we prove that awareness and reason share the same nature? We're not doing this, right? I'm saying, I'm asking you directly, is reason of the nature of awareness or unawareness? And you are intuitively saying awareness, of course. Did you read a book on the concept of awareness being akin to the concept of reason? Did you study this? Do you have a degree in this, right? Did you visit many talks? Did you read a lot of scientific papers about this? No. You didn't have to. This was inside of you already. And so this is a mystic, as they say, way of engaging with truth, meaning direct. Intuitive means direct. Intellectual is not direct. Intellectual is, doing this and gathers data and analyzes it and synthesizes it, and then has to go prove it, and then someone can say something against it, and then we're going to need to deal with that. And that's all fine. I'm not saying this is wrong, but it's just not direct. That's all. And Simone Weil is a direct person. Rumi is a direct. Buddha, Jesus, Socrates, even often, although Socrates does meander a lot, these are direct people, right? So this is what it means to, when you hear the word, oh, this person was a mystic. That's what that means. So we're deliberately not engaging. Many of us have studied, and many of us have studied philosophy, but we're deliberately not engaging in that way of deliberating on these things, because we're not looking for scientific proofs. We're looking for experiential signs, meaning this has to show up in my experience. It's nice to write a paper, and it's nice to discuss these things and to analyze and to get different viewpoints, certainly. And sometimes, if it's in a friendly way, to debate about these things. But ultimately, I have to know it. And know it not in the sense I have the degree, the proof to show it. I'm an expert in this, not knowing like that. Knowing deep within me, when all the lights go out at night, the truth is split up, right? What do I believe then? What do I know is happening to me then? And so if you are thinking about awareness and reason, this is a beautiful thing you're doing. So now your options are whether to engage with this intellectually or directly, intuitively. Whichever you like, whichever
I
fits
feel
you best. Yeah.
I feel if the ego tries to hijack reason per se, what you've said many times is to ask, to whom is speaking right now? And I think that's where reason outpower, like the ego, if it's trying to be tricky, because it seems to get trickier and trickier. as the more aware you are, if you keep on asking to whom is speaking, reason should, it seems to clear things up each time to ask that question for me.
Say the last part again. It cut out a little bit.
Sorry. To, like you've mentioned, to ask that question,
Mm-hmm.
whom is speaking? And I believe if you keep on asking that question, it doesn't allow the ego to hijack reason. Because I think sometimes reason, you could justify anything with reason. But if you keep on asking that question, reason should stand higher than the ego or keep on clearing things up.
Yeah, absolutely. So two things you said, right? When we constantly remind ourselves of the knowledge of the self, right? And when I say knowledge of the self, I again don't mean that we know exactly what we are, who we are. No, actually, the more we think about it, the more we don't, right? But we can know who we are by knowing who we are not, what we are not. So if I say knowledge of the self, it can be in that way as well. So by constantly reminding ourselves of the knowledge of the self, we can every time come out of the grip of ego, as you noted. And this is a very valuable thing you're seeing. Of course, this is everything. This is what people hope for. It's like, how can I find peace, remain in peace, find understanding, remain in understanding. This is I don't even want to call it a practice because it's, again, so intuitive and so automatic. As soon as it comes in, oh no, what if I don't go to this event? What will I miss? Who's speaking right now? Has it become automatic for many of us, I hope, right? When this thought comes in and a certain emotion comes up, just by the fact that a certain emotion comes up, not judging it on what emotion, oh, is this good or bad? Or no, just any emotion coming up automatically should trigger this question. And when I say should, I just mean it will. Once we're with this long enough, it will automatically. As soon as the thought comes in, everything is examined, everything is looked at automatically. And this looking at is very simple. It's just who's speaking right now. And it's as we know, because we've been paying attention. We've heard the ego speak so many times, and the ego speaks of fear of loss. The ego speaks of reputation. The ego speaks of mine. This is mine. The ego speaks of loss. The ego speaks of profit. Right? And so we've learned to recognize the tone of the false self. And so this is happening more automatically now. But I also want to say, reason is also just another word, right? We're not going to worship the word reason. We're not going to write it. We're not going to tattoo it and then say this is everything. Reason is everything, because reason is just a word. And that word too is misused and overused. When you said you can justify anything with reason, I actually want to show you that you don't agree with that, because so many people have used the word reason synonymous with the word logic, that this has become confused. With logic, you can justify everything, because everything can become logical. When you study logic in one of our academic philosophical institutions, you often see you can use any sentence to fit into a logical structure, meaning you can end up with nonsensical sentences such as, it is raining right now, therefore cats are real. It's just a structure. The words don't matter. You can put any words in there and it will technically be logical, logically sound. But reason does not work like that. Reason is not logic. These are not synonymous. Reason is the absence of emotion. To me, look, this is, again, I'm not writing a book. I'm not telling other people what things are. To me, this is what it is, and I suggest it to you as I do everything else. To me, this is reason is the motivation that remains once emotion is taken out of the equation. Because this also time and time again we find is the difference between judgment and discernment. Both judgment and discernment call some things right and some things wrong. And with judgment, you can call anything you want right or wrong, because judgment comes out of emotion. Judgment is anger, resentment, hatred, desire. And so anything I feel that I lack and that I want, I'm going to call good. But that's not based on reason. Is it really good? Or do I call it good? Do I judge it right or wrong based on if I want it or not? And what is my wanting or not wanting based on? This judgment cannot tell you. Judgment is just going to want what the emotions want, what the identities want, what the ego wants. Discernment is judgment minus emotion. When you discern something, it should not excite you, right or wrong. And it should not make you fearful, right or wrong. When you look at your life and you judge the prior 15 years of your existence, 15 years, wrong, improper. You spent it in a way, you've lived in a way that is improper to a human being. If you can see that without fear, you're discerning this to be true. Reason is telling you this. And only so that you can change your ways. It's never too late. There's no such thing as too late. The ego speaks of time. How much longer? You're way past the deadline. Everything's too late now. This is ego talk. Reason has never told you that something is too late or too early in an emotional connection. Saying you're worth less now because you've passed the deadline, or you haven't become yet. You have to wait. So discernment is simply that. I've spent my life, a lot of it, in an improper way to a human being, because the nature of a human being, and here we go again, discerning nature. What is the nature of a human being? It's awareness. It's attention. It's reason. I've spent my life, so much of it, in unawareness, in inattention, in an unreasonable way. How can I change my life without first discerning this? But judgment is not this. Judgment is I wasted most of my life and it's too late now and my youth is gone and I might as well never try again. That's judgment. Or it will say, because it is ego-driven and it does not ever admit defeat, because it doesn't operate on reason, it operates on ego, on thrill, on satisfaction, on desire, it will say, no, that was all fine, that's all good. I did nothing wrong, I never did anything wrong. And those who tell me that are my enemies, and I will overcome them, I will endure, and I will show them all. This is judgment, calling the same exact thing good or bad, depending on what is driving us. But discernment can look at that and say, yes, I am proud. Yes, I am bitter. Yes, I am resentful about this. Or again, I've did such a good job, so I'm proud about it. But I can put all of that aside with discernment, with reason, and see, was this right? Was this proper or improper? And again, so simple, so intuitive to know when we are judging, when we are being intuitive, when we are logically justifying an egoic action, or reasonably discerning what is right or wrong. It's simply this. Is there any emotion in it? And again, as always, for those who love the emotions, who love to defend them, who are in the grips of emotion, who are guided by emotion, I understand you. I am not saying that emotions are bad. I have to say this every time, otherwise it's not received. There's nothing bad about emotion. Emotions are not our enemy. Emotions are not the opponent. Emotions don't need to be suppressed or ignored or killed or fought or anything. This is not what I'm saying. But when we're looking for a guide in our lives, what shall I do, this or that? To whom do we want to go to? to emotions or reason? This is all I'm saying. And so this is always the simple remembrance, just like you said with the question of who is speaking. This is another simple thing, another simple question, another simple reminder. Are there any emotions in this? If I'm making a decision, I only need to inquire within. Is there emotion? I kind of would like it to be the result to be that I say this, what I've been doing is proper, because I love it. It's thrilling to me, and it's really makes me feel alive, and it's so impressive also to people around me. So I hope I decide that I deem this to be proper. This only you can see. No one else can tell you this. And so if you see any of that, you can know that whatever is saying, the opposite should be done. Or you find, no, I'm not excited by either option or either whatever I'm trying to discern. I'm trying to reason. It's just that I'm seeing this is the right thing to do. And it doesn't excite me that that's the right thing to do, or it does not make me sad or whatever you want to, angry or whatever. And so, no, I'm okay. So that's then reason speaking. So this is again the very, very simple, beautiful thing that we have available to us simply by being a human being. This is not learned. This is not taught. This is not purchased. This is not achieved. Maybe there is some training to this. I'm not sure. But again, the ability to train and the ability to have this training result in this is all already contained in the human being. This is not an external thing that needs to be procured. And so this is what Simone Weil is doing. Look, this whole time we have not once stepped into academic. I haven't mentioned a single word of jargon or a single name or a single theory or a single so-and-so says this and therefore that, and none of that. This is all discerned. This is all known in the self, by the self, without any external, not input, but without any external element that needs to be procured that we're not already born with. So this is the so-called mystic way of engaging with ideas, truth, experience, the experience of life. And so I just heard you speak about reason in that way, and I just wanted to offer that to you, that reason and logic are not the same.
Thank you.
Okay, and well, thank you for your question. Thank you for allowing us to speak about this and to unfold some things. And once again, it's really great that you're reading Simone Weil. And I will also ask you the question of the fortnight. You don't have to answer it. I'm just going to ask it, and then you can say, actually, I haven't thought about it. I'd rather not answer. I don't know what I'm saying. So the question of the week or of the fortnight is, are you perfect?
Yes, because the true self is perfect in every way. As you explained beautifully many times, you can't make it better, can't make it worse. It's perfect. And I just have to keep on making sure I see that clearly. And I definitely, I didn't believe that before. Now I do.
So do you remember how you moved from that to this? How you used to think that you are an imperfect being because you're only human after all, right? The phrases are ready for us to believe this. And so, and then sort of somehow seeing that, I don't lack anything. I'm not an incomplete being. Do you remember how that happened for you, or what your experience was?
Well, before I had no idea about the true self. I probably mixed the ego and the true self, the false self, all together all the time, which the false self is clearly not perfect. it has problems. The ego likes to bring up everything. And so, for years, I'm 53 years old. For most of my years, I thought, no way I'm perfect. I was thinking the false self was the true self. And I think you're very good at articulating things. I've read a lot of these type of books before, but I've never made these connections. So you're able to articulate it in a way that makes it easier to understand. So just recently watching your podcast is when things started getting clearer for me.
That's amazing. Yeah. But look, all those things that you heard before that maybe didn't click, it probably also helped, right? Because you're hearing these things. The most important thing is that we hear these things because we're never told these things. How can we know something without ever coming in contact with it? It is there as the true self is. The true self was always there, right? You didn't all of a sudden discover or achieve a true self. You just recognize what was there the whole time. So it was already there, but someone needs to point to it because we cannot see it ourselves. Even now, knowing of it, we cannot see the true self. We don't know what it is. We only know what it is not. It is not this judging thing. It is not this one that has so many opinions and beliefs and condemns other people and wants to feel good all the time and needs to chase so-called good emotions. Otherwise, if it has too many bad emotions, it's in a bad way. It's getting broken down. It needs healing. All these things we think are us. And no one says, you are not that. You are not this. No one ever told us this. And it comes again, there's always a theme when we talk about things, right? It comes again from intellectualizing. Because even when we read the book about the true self, you can read the most ancient, beautiful words about this very thing, because this all comes from that. It's not like we invented any of this. And you'll still dismiss it, as I have done. I come from the intellectual realm of things, right? I did not grow up religious. Not that being religious means not being intellectual either. Some of the most intellectual people are religious people, because you can intellectualize anything. You can intellectualize anything. And so I come from that side, where everything needs to be scientific, everything needs to be proven, scholarly, and it needs to be complicated. And maybe perhaps one day, if I have an expertise in this, that's when I can be at peace or know something. But when you let go of the intellectualizing, that's when these things are allowed to come in, because before we're closed, before we're demanding things of truth. Truth doesn't work that way. It's like one of our friends, Viktor Frankl, says, right? He went through the Holocaust, and he says, you cannot ask life what the meaning of life is. Life asks you what the meaning of life is. So when we see truth, we say, what do you have for me? Come on, come prove yourself to me. Otherwise, I'm just going to keep being miserable. Joke's on you. If you do not prove yourself to me, I'm just going to punish you by continuing to be miserable. I'm not going to allow you. This is what we say to truth. This is what we say to peace. As if they owe us something. Right? And we go around asking the whole world, asking life all the time, what's your meaning? Why should I engage in you? If you can't prove your meaning to me, I'm just gonna stop living. I'm not gonna continue this life. As if it's so centric. Do we notice that? Egocentric, as they say. And so we got to turn that around. We have to say, we have to provide the answers. I can't demand answers anymore from peace. I can't demand any proof from life. I need to come up with these things. And it's not a need as in like you're lacking something, go prove yourself, assemble something so that you can have a peaceful life. No, it's just the very act of looking, the very act of changing one's disposition from a demanding one to, I need to find these. I need to look. I cannot be spoon-fed. That very act, that very change in disposition and attitude is the whole thing. That is the thing itself. It is not that we do that and then at the end there's a prize. The prize is peace, meaning, and happiness and all that. No, this is the very process. As soon as the disposition changes, we're opening up. And as soon as we open up, peace, meaning, purpose, if you want to say, and even a certain amount of happiness, even though happiness is just an emotion and that doesn't matter really at the end of the day, all these things start coming in. And after that, it's just, again, a sort of disposition to remain open. Because one can also say, oh, I've learned many things, I've seen many things, so I have it now and I close it up. No, we need to remain open because the ego likes to close things up, put a ribbon around it and say, this is done, this is finished, this is good. And now I can show it off to people. No, this is an ever-remaining openness. There is nothing to brag about here. There's nothing to show around. That's not the point. For the first time in our lives, that's not the point. The point is simply to have the experience, even if no one else is looking. And that experience is simply peace, that which was always there, but that we could not recognize. And of course, technically, we can always recognize it. There's no such thing, oh, you are unable to recognize. No, you're only unable to recognize it as long as you yourself decide to have your hand in front of your eyes, essentially. And so thank you once again for that great answer as well, because this, again, you are a living example. You are a living example. I always talk about living examples, and we think of living examples as Socrates, Jesus, Buddha, all these kind of people. No, it's all of us. And this was their message too. It's all of us. And so you are a living example. You are just like everyone else, everyone here. You saying you used to identify with these things. You used to see no separation. I think you said a beautiful thing, which we don't talk about a lot. We all do this. We call the self many things. And as you said, the false self is included in that. The identities are included in that. Thoughts, emotions, memories are included. We call all of that the self. And that's how it is possible that we can say, oh, one part of me thinks like this, another part of me wants this. The self has no parts. It's just we made a collection of it. And so there are these conflicting things within it. And so we say one part of me wants this, another wants this. And I remember that very well now as soon as you said it, that I used to do that too. And I think that's a common, that is the issue. That is the thing, to see what you are not. And so that was a beautiful reminder. And sometimes we don't recognize everything that's been happening because we're not paying attention to progress anymore, to achievements, which is right, of course. But then we remember something happens or something brings up a memory and we say, wow, I would have totally reacted like this just a year ago, or 10 years ago, whenever. And that's when you really see evidence of how far you've come, as they say. And so that was a beautiful reminder. Thank you so much. Thank you for the reading you're doing. Thank you for the thinking you're doing and the speaking you're doing. And thank you for your answer and questions and insights and everything. Very, very valuable. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And so that being said, I will move you back to the audience again with great gratitude. That was amazing. Thank you for coming here and for sharing these things and for enriching this time and place in the way that you have done. And I will invite our next speaker.
Yeah, I've been coming to these kinship talks for like about 2 months, and I thought it was best to sort of, like you say, push past the fear and actually speak up. And I just wanted to contribute. I really liked what you said in a previous one about the like the trap we can fall in on this path, if we want to call it. Like, am I trying to become, or am I recognizing what has always been? Like, that's quite a really resonant sort of phrase for me, because it really solidified like the difference between actually seeing these ideas and this distinction, like the previous speaker just said, and just forming another like mind construct and fall into, and all the stuff that comes with that. And yeah, and I just want to say for myself, I think for me, there is like an element of like training for this, because I have quite a loud mind that has a lot of resistance, and I'm still not there yet, but I feel like the door is open, I guess, for like the first time, you know. So, and I'm trying not to let that become like a thing, if you know what I mean, as well. Like I'm just, that's a phrase, but yeah, I didn't really have anything specific. I just wanted to sort of share my experience of this. So yeah, it's quite sort of life changing, really.
Well, that
Yeah.
is both beautifully specific as well as beautifully universal, because you're
Yeah.
saying something very specific in our experience, actually. Because look, if you'd meet 1,000 people, how many people would say this, what you're saying? So it's actually very, very specific, right? You're narrowing down, you're seeing many, many things, important things, and most people do not. And this is not a judgment, it's just a simple, if there was a statistic, I'm sure it would show this, um, that most people simply don't engage in this. And we were one of those people, and still are in many ways. But, and I heard in what you said, the idea of I'm still not there yet. This is part of that other mindset. This is part of that mindset that was suffering, that was miserable, right? So this is
Yeah.
something I'm sure you'll see also, but I just want to point it out as you are already here, gracing us with this amazing insight and ideas and conversation. I want to give something back and say,
Okay.
okay, you're not there yet, but what does that mean, not there yet? I think what you are saying is your habits have not changed yet. There are thinking patterns that are still from the old mindset that are still going on. And you are recognizing that now and saying, this is not proper. This is not right. And so you're saying, um, I'm still not there because this is still going on. But I want to tell you this, those things are allowed to go on. Those things cannot harm you because you've lived a life until whenever that was pretty much completely consumed by these thinking patterns and these ways of going about things.
Yeah.
And so, but you're still here. You're still here. So even a life consumed by these things was not able to harm the so-called true self because you are still here. Otherwise, you would have been damaged, broken, destroyed by now. So if a life full of that cannot destroy you or even touch you, really, you're seeing now, how can these things that are still kind of happening, you're still not there yet and you're still working on, how can that be a problem to you? You see what I mean? So
Yes. Yeah.
this is something to think about. So whenever that happens, don't see it as a personal failure.
Mm.
There's no need. Because who's failing? What's failing? What's happening? What's the damage? What's the problem? I understand those mental constructs, those ways of thinking are not proper and they're not healthy to the person and they're just not wished for anymore. I understand that. And so in time, they'll go away then, right? But what's the problem, nevertheless? I understand they're not proper, but what's the problem to you? To you, there is no problem because you're here, you're untouchable. So the awareness is untouchable. Nothing was able to destroy your awareness. What we are only increasing is the awareness of awareness, because these thought patterns, these mental things that distract you, that take you back into unawareness, into ignorance, they take you out of the awareness of awareness. And of course, a beautiful, enjoyable, full human life is a life that is aware. Of course. Imagine, it's like playing a whole movie. This is in the old days. We don't do this anymore, right? Something is playing and you want to record it um,
Mm.
because you can't be there. And so this is like life playing and you can't be there because you're unaware, but also no one's recording because unawareness. It's not being recorded. So this is what people say when life passed me by, when they say life passed me by. What does that mean? How can life pass you by? Because you cannot step out of life. So how did life pass you by? It passed you by because you didn't have your finger on the record button. Unawareness. This is what we call unawareness. But unaware of what? Unaware of awareness, right? Because the awareness is there, the true self is there. You did not make the true self. You did not invent it. It was not given to you either. It's just you always have been. And so that's not going to change. That's not going to be damaged or be improved in any way. It's awareness of awareness. And I'm going to take a little short break here. As you know, we have 4th of July, so there are many fireworks going on. So Layla
No
is a
problem.
little freaking out, my dog. So I'm going to let her inside so she can be with us.
No problem.
She's scared.
Oh,
Okay. It's the classic dog thing, thunder and fireworks, right?
yeah.
And so she's been scratching at the door for several nights.
Oh,
You're
dear.
okay. You're okay. And see, this is the same thing we should do with the ego, right? When these thoughts happen, the ego is crying, the thoughts are crying. They say, I have a problem, something terrible is going on. There are explosions outside. Can't you hear this? And but I don't say, oh no, you poor thing, you're in a bad way. I'll give you some medicine, I'll give you some food, I'll give you some alcohol, right? So many people go to that as well.
Mm.
No, I just let the dog in, and so she can feel a little better. But I'm not concerned about it, right? Because we know a higher truth. You know a higher truth than the thoughts that are still coming to you. You know a higher truth than the ego. It's the same thing. And so this is exactly what life presents to you. And if you're aware, you can see this. And even something as profane as this happening in your regular life can be an analogy to you. And it can remind you of things, right? And so now she feels better. Now she's sitting there, not scratching at the door, not crying anymore. And it's the same with the ego. The ego is not a problem to you when it comes crying to you, when it says, I have a problem, fix it, I'm in a worse way, I'm terrible, I'm going to die. You say, okay, come sit down, come have a tea, But I'm not going to be concerned because I know better than the ego. Before, we used to identify with the ego, so its problems were ours. We were very concerned about everything that it had to say. But that's gone now, right? But the ego is still there. It's still scratching at the door. And so every now and then we open the door, we let it in, we give it a couple pets, and then we send it away again. And that time that we had to spend like that is not a failure. It is not a burden. It is not a problem. It is not certainly not a catastrophe. It is nothing. It is nothing. It's neither good nor bad. It's just something that's happening. Your nails are growing, so you trim them. You don't think anything about it. You say, these pesky things again. I have to do this all the time. Or I wish they would go longer, faster. You never think about it like that. You just see it's time to do your nails, to clip them off, and so you go do that. But you could intellectualize that. You could get into it and say, is this a good thing or a bad thing? It has to be one of these two things. That's how the ego thinks. Is this good for me? Is this bad for me? It has to be one of these things. And so this is seeing that slowly, right? And this is not to, again, point out, oh, look, you're doing this wrong. Not at all. It's just another suggestion, another pointer in your expanding vision, which was going to happen anyway. I just wanted to offer it to you, but this is inevitable anyway, right? But when we have heard it before, sometimes it's like, oh, and I heard it before. Then it maybe accelerates it a little bit, right? And that can be, logistically, that can be a good thing because your life is getting, your logistical daily life experience is getting raised maybe a little quicker. Nothing wrong with that. You didn't need it. You weren't lacking before. But why not? It's sort of like moving into a better neighborhood. Why not? Right? It's not necessary, but why not? And so it's beautiful what you're experiencing, what you're seeing, right? And this is happening, and it's happening in your experience. You remember because you have memory, which the ego used to use against you so many times in so many ways. You know what it was like to totally identify with that. and totally be consumed by that. And then you started to see a separation. Wow, there's something in between these thoughts, this false self, this thought construct,
Mm.
and myself. And now you're even seeing, wow, this whole time I thought I was bettering myself. I was working on myself, so I was getting better. Now you're seeing, wow, I was actually not working or making better anything. I was just recognizing what was already there. And so this is another recognition. This is you recognizing that you don't need to, yes, the thoughts are less and less. Those mental constructs, those thought constructs are coming less and less. But you are not getting better. You are only recognizing how it was always under the thought constructs. There was always this self, certainly this peace, this vision. It was always there, it was just obscured. And so this is a very important idea that it is not a attainment. It is just a simple recognition of what already is. And I think every time we learn something of truth, it's like this. It's never an addition. I used to think like that as well, but now I feel like, wow, I'm just being shown yet another thing that was always like that. So it's not like I gained something, I understood something, I made something where there was nothing before. No, it's a simple recognition. Wow, I always had this in my closet. I just didn't know or forgot. And so this is the beautiful thing, that we are not becoming, that we are merely recognizing of what we already are. Right? Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yes, it does. Yeah. Yeah. It's yeah.
And so that's the beautiful thing. And I'm glad you overcame your fears of this horrible thing. I know you risked so much to be here. This
I
could
know.
have gone. This could have gone so bad.
Yeah, if I may, I'd like to sort of say there's an interesting sort of parallel, because I've been pushing against other fears as well. Pushing against, yeah.
There you go. See, this is a
Yeah,
recognition. This is
exactly. Yeah,
beautiful.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I've been sort of just doing things in spite of fear, with like music, and like it's the exact same result. Like nothing, it didn't harm me. Even perceived failure, it doesn't. There's no harm. So. Yeah, yeah. Thank you for your sort of addition and insights. It's great.
Yeah. Thank you so much for
Appreciate you
sharing
and
this.
everyone else.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Once again, you are a living example. Right? And I want you to recognize that too. Not because you have to, but because it would be nice. That we are living these things.
Mm.
Right? This is not a theory. This is not something that happened in the past. Other people did it, and so we can see that and think about it and talk about it. No, this is happening within all of us as soon as we let it. It's not a becoming worthy. It's not an achieving. It's not a, it's not a prize or anything. It's a letting. It's an allowing. As soon as we don't allow anything. This is the issue. We're closed off. And so as soon as we start allowing truth is coming in. It's, as one of our other mystic friends, Meister Eckhart, says, God cannot wait to come into you, but you must empty yourself. Right? So God, truth, love, these are synonymous things, in my opinion. And so as soon as you empty yourself, as soon as you make room, truth, love, God, whatever word you like, it can't wait to come into you, to fill you up, to replace these things. But if we remain full, this cannot happen. So
Exactly.
thank you once again for your beautiful insights and what you've shared and everything, and just your presence here. Thank you so much. This awareness, this recognition, as our friend Spinoza, I think it was Spinoza, said, there's nothing more useful to an aware person than another aware person. And this is what I want this community to be, and this is what it already is. I'm just saying this is what we want to maintain it to be. Aware people. just aware people being with each other. That's all there is to it. So that we are engaging in awareness rather than distraction, because so many friendships, so many groups, so many identities certainly are about forgetting, not about remembering. And so we say, oh, I just broke up with someone. I had a hard day at work or this or that, whatever it is. And so let's go do something. Let's go drink or let's go watch a movie. Let's go hang out. It's about forgetting. It's about using each other to escape something rather than to see something, to remember something. And that's what a true friend is. A true friend that makes you remember and does not make you forget.
To
And
be
so that's
present
what,
as well, I guess.
yeah. I mean, that's awareness, presence. Again,
Yeah.
these things are family, right? And so that's a beautiful thing to see. And when we have aware people together, this only is more conducive to openness, because unaware people, closed off people, what can they suggest to us? What will they say to us? They will say the world's a horrible place. It's a scary place. It's an evil place. And so you must protect yourself and don't trust anyone, right? And so, but an aware person will just say, hey, wherever you're going, it will be truth. It will be right for you. And truth has never harmed you. So even though it might be painful at the time, it might be challenging, it might even feels like it's devastating, you would never have it any other way afterwards. Every time this happened to you where it felt painful, you see, well, I can't imagine if that hadn't happened, if I had continued in that way, and if that wasn't ripped away from me. And so nothing can happen to you, as you can see, because if it could, it would have already happened. You already would have been destroyed, living so much of our lives in unawareness, right? And all these things that we now see was just ignorance. And so this is a beautiful recognition. Thank you for being this living example, and thank you for speaking here. Thank you for not listening to fear anymore. And as long as you do that, it is inevitable that you will gain that vision, if there is anything to gain, of peace, of love, of truth, of the self, right? And so thank you so much. I will move you back to the audience for now.
Yep. Thank you.
And thank you again for being here. Thank you again for speaking and sharing that. That's very, very valuable. And I will invite our next speaker.
So I wanted to speak about thrill seeking and how it made me examine like the way I live, I would say. Because I realized that's kind of what I'm doing of my days, trying to fill my days, being entertained, whether it be a meeting with a friend or just consuming content online or spending leisure time on the computer. I'm examining it, and I'm thinking it's like thrill seeking, and it's something I want to change. But also it arises the confusion a bit, because I'm thinking, if there is no, I wouldn't see my life without some fun, some laughing, some smiling. And so if there is no thrill seeking to be, because I see how it can be sort of a poison to the soul, and since it's all about intentions, how do you know you set your intentions right?
Yeah, that's a beautiful question, and this is exactly the point that we need to investigate, inquire about ourselves, in order to finally stop thrill seeking, or If thrill seeking turns out to be this great, amazing thing that makes life so much better, let's thrill seek even more than we used to. Right? And this is each person's own decision which way they want to go. But this is the point in which we have to make that decision, in which the road splits a little bit. And so we simply want to decide which way we're going, because we can't go both ways. And so there's the perception, there's the idea, and this is, in my mind, in my opinion, this is the resistance of the mind that comes up when it says, well, I see that thrill seeking can be very destructive, because thrill seeking is always thinking about the future, always looking forward, right? And so the present moment, that's not it yet. It's not here yet. So we're constantly waiting. We're constantly anticipating, constantly expecting. And so I can see how that's not a good thing, because I'm not living my life. I'm not in the present moment. I'm constantly looking forward. Or if the thrill was in the past, I'm constantly looking, oh, how great that was. I wish that would happen again. How can I make that happen again? Can it happen again? Is it possible? Who can do this for me? So I can see that that's destructive. But if I don't do any thrill seeking, then am I ever going to smile again? Am I ever going to feel joy again? Am I ever going to feel something that's exciting again? Or is life just going to be this boring, bland, meaningless thing? This is the idea. And this is where the mind says, do not give up thrill seeking. You will become a gray, bland, disinterested, uncaring, unhappy, totally numb person. And this is how the mind gets us to, look, you've been letting go of so many thrills. I mean, you got to also slow down, right? So do a little bit of this again. And just like the alcoholic who has one sip of something, the next day they're back to two full bottles. And this is how the thrill seeker is too. We say we let a little bit of thrill in because we deserve it, right? This is the funniest thing. And this I want you to hear, because it's been pointed out to me as well. And we really have to pay attention to this. I think our friend Seneca pointed this out to me. We reward ourselves with the very thing that we're trying to get away from. We think we need to lose weight, so we diet. And then we say, you've been good dieting, losing so much weight, eating so much less of this food that is unhealthy for you. Here, reward yourself with a little bit of that same food. And this is a self-defeating thing. And it's the funniest thing that we knowingly do. And again, back to the person who maybe has a substance issue, says, I've been not drinking. I've totally quit for 9 months. I haven't had a single drop. How amazing. To celebrate, I will have just one little beer, just a light beer. No big deal. If I can handle no drinking, I can handle a little drinking. So the very thing that we're abstaining from, that we cannot any longer touch, becomes a reward to us. We're all thrill seekers. We're all engaging in this. But then we see the harmful effects, and we say, but surely, we leave ourselves a little door. Surely too much of anything is bad. And so too much of no thrill seeking, too much of no constantly having expectations of other people and events to make us feel better. Surely too much of that cannot be good either. But I want to tell you, and I can only tell you, you have to see this for yourself. Joy, the approval and the vision and the experience of beauty, of peace, of wonder, all of these things have nothing to do with thrill seeking. And in fact, these things are covered up by thrill seeking. We are in a beautiful environment right now. We're within kinship, but the thrill seeker is thinking, oh, in 3 hours, I'm going to go out to eat, or I'm going to go out with friends and I'm going to do this, and this is going to be great time. And we're there. And the present moment, all the beauty that is in the present moment, because if beauty is everywhere. Beauty is everywhere. The present beauty is covered up by the perceived, speculated, illusionary, future, possible, potential beauty. And boy, oh boy, if we get to that moment and it's not quite as we expected, quite as we demanded, quite as we imagined, even that moment that we've been looking forward to becomes pain and poison and misery. And it angers us, it disappoints us, it frustrates us. Beauty, joy is right here, right now. And if we cannot see it now, we will never be able to see it. Because a thrill is a fake joy. A thrill is a rush. If you recognize, every time we are thrilled, we are experiencing excess. We're experiencing a large, unnatural amount of something. That's what a thrill is. Because if you notice, peace is not thrilling, even though peace is the ultimate goal to every thrill seeker. We only want thrills so that we can be at peace, so that we can have a joyous, fulfilled life. And we think we can force that or increase that or maximize that by accumulating a bunch of something, whether it's a substance or it's an experience, and we make it into an explosion, and we're dazzled by that unnatural intensity for a moment or two. How long does a thrill last? And then we say, wow, that was thrilling. That made me feel alive. And as soon as it's over, we're looking forward to the next one. So we're living only a moment or two, however long the thrill lasts, and even that is not really living. It's just nervous, excited dazzlement. It's not really joy. It's certainly not contentment. It's certainly not comfortable. It's a rush. And because we're so overwhelmed, something extraordinary is happening, we feel excited. And when we feel excited, we feel alive. And then we say, this is what being alive is. This is what it is. And I wish I could always feel like this. And so we become junkies. As many thrills as we can get, we try to cram in. But since they're so excessive, so extreme, no moment can really hold them for a long time. The true joy of human experience is peace. And peace is stillness. Peace is contentment. Peace is awareness. Peace is living in the present moment, seeing the beauty that is right here, right now, that is very subtle, too subtle for a thrill seeker. Those cannot see it. And peace and contentment lasts forever. It is never overwhelming. Peace can be had 24/7. A thrill by its very nature needs to be extraordinary. And the thrill seeker sees ordinary as something bad. But peace is ordinary. Peace is not an overwhelming rush and excitement, a momentary explosion. That is not what peace is. Peace is steady, everlasting, and always there. And so when we give up thrill seeking, not only do we not give up joy, that is the very first time that we will experience true joy. But again, all of this is talk, all of this is theory. I just want to give you pointers as they have been given to me. And so that you can then go experience it, observe it in your life. Whenever you are thrilled, be aware, don't go unconscious. Don't go unconscious like the drug addict. Don't go right? Look at it. Observe it and see, is this really joy? Is this beauty? What is this? And vice versa. When you let go of a thrill just once, the expectation of it, the constant forward looking, the constant yearning and desiring, that makes us so discontent with the present moment, the people that we're with, or the place that we're in, or the time of day. When you let go of that just once, just to do it, just as an experiment, you will see the stillness that underlies all of this expecting and all this craving. And that stillness, that beauty, that contentment, that home, you can always have. It is always there. You're just not seeing it. And when I say you, I mean all of us. And so, once again, not only does the absence of thrill seeking not damage joy, it, in fact, for the first time in our lives, allows us to see the joy that is ever present and does not need to be accumulated, does not need to be earned, does not need to be put together. It is always there, ready for the taking. But we could not see it because we're constantly seeking. Seeking. To seek means to be discontent with how things are now and to look to change it. And as long as we are looking to change things, we are unhappy with how things currently are. And as we know from our own experience, no thrill has ever been able to change this nature of ours, where we experienced the thrill, and then afterwards we never needed the thrill again. Afterwards, we were content with how things are, and we could see the beauty, and everything was pleasant and joyful. And beauty is everywhere. How wonderful. I never need anything again. No thrill has ever done this for us. And are we just not seeking the right thrill? Or are we just not experiencing a thrill that is thrilling enough? Is that the problem? Or is the problem the very nature of thrill seeking, which is seeking, which is always looking for what is not here? Thrill seeking is looking for what is not here. And to give up thrill seeking is to finally give up looking for what is not here. And when you give up looking for what is not here, then and only then, for the first time, you can see what is here. And this you need to see for yourself. If what is already here is not worthy of your attention, if what is already here is lacking and it's stupid and it's boring, or if there is an ever-present, amazing, graceful beauty to it and a joy to it, a silent joy, a steady joy, a sustainable joy, and a joy that is, in fact, not only sustainable, but sustained always. This only you can see, this only you can answer for yourself. But I want to at least suggest to you this idea that many people have experienced, believe in, and tell us about, that thrill-seeking has no impact in the negative way, or giving up thrill-seeking has no impact in the negative way of your experience as a human being, fullness of life, joy, excitement even. It has no impact on that negatively. Quite the opposite. It uncovers so much more that we did not know was there.
Yeah, thank you for your insights. As you said, it's something to be lived. So I'm gonna try to expand my vision on that and try to see it. And I don't know, maybe come back and give an update on that.
Okay.
I don't know if I have much time, but I wanted to ask more of a practical question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Also about journaling. I've been thinking to start, and it's not clear to me what I should write.
Well, perfect. Do you know of the Seneca Book Club?
Yeah, I've been seeing it, yeah.
And have you been engaging with it? Have you been journaling on the Seneca letters?
Not yet, no.
Okay, so there's the answer to your question. That's why I created that book club, because it's not only a book club. It's not only that you read, but you write also. And you can see, we have it here, right here on Discord, we have a whole section for the Seneca Letters Book Club, where myself and other people share their own journal entries. And the way that you do it is that, you get yourself the Seneca Letters, whether it's a book or it's free online available. If you are subscribed to my newsletter, there's also a direct link to that free version that I recommend. And all you do is you read a letter, and it's easy to read them. Many of them are just a few pages long, so it doesn't take very long, which is ideal. And Seneca is so good. He's in always presenting an idea that is so relevant to everyone, right? It's not bound in time and his personal culture or anything like that. He always presents something, because he's technically writing these letters to a friend. At least that's how they're written. And so he's always suggesting something. Look, my friend, I want you to see this.
Mhm.
And essentially, we are his friend when we are reading them, and he is our friend. And so he is suggesting something to you in each letter. And the way I recommend going about this is not writing in personal terms, meaning when you journal about the idea that you've just read, don't write it like, my dear diary, today this happened and blah, blah, blah. Take yourself out of it. Take all the I's and me's and mine's out of it and see what you can still say. Whatever remains of what you can still say will be of universal and timeless relevance, because you took your time out of it. You took your person out of it. You took your location. You took all your so-called personal details out of it. So what remains must be impersonal, meaning relevant to all, not just you or people who know you, but relevant to everyone. And so if in one letter, again, he talks about pride, right? Then you can say, what do I think about pride? Or this amazing thing he just said about pride. I never thought about pride in this way before, so I'm going to focus on that. This is a very interesting concept. I want to write more about, or something came to me as I was reading it, a realization came to me. Write about that realization. Or you read something about pride and you say, or kind of like thrill seeking today, but isn't thrill seeking also to a degree good? Like, isn't it joy? Write about that. And Seneca is saying, no, there's no good in thrill seeking. So you disagree. So why do I disagree? What is it exactly? How can I explain this to myself? As Epictetus says, who better to convince you than you? And so discourse with yourself, but again, not talking to yourself, and also not responding to Seneca. I'm not saying, dear Seneca, I heard you say this, and don't summarize the letter or anything like that. The letters are just a starting off point. They're suggesting something to you. They're giving you, in my opinion, a timeless and universal idea. And so write about that. Don't mention Seneca. Don't mention your own name. Don't mention your friend's name. Don't mention what happened 8 years ago to you on that one night. Don't do any of that. Just talk about the idea itself. Be a transparent eyeball, right? Don't be a person. Just be the awareness that is even behind the person, and speak about the idea. What do you think about this concept? What do you take from these suggestions, or what can you not see still, even though Seneca seems so convinced of this? I don't understand at all why he's saying that. Focus on that. And I only suggest this because I did this, right? Before the YouTube channel, before anything, I sat down, not every day, maybe, but many days of the week, and I did this exact thing that I'm talking about, and I did it exactly with the Seneca letters. I did it with Epictetus. I did it with a couple others, and all of the insights that are in those books, I was able to extract by doing it like that, because reading is often not enough. You by journaling about it, you make it your own. Seneca has great ideas, and they can be very interesting, and you agree with some and disagree with some, but there will always be Seneca's ideas. Even though they're not his ideas. Like when we talk about how pride can be destructive, if Seneca says that, that doesn't mean it's Seneca's idea. It's everyone's idea. But we feel like, oh, as Seneca says, and I believe this, blah, blah, blah. We'll forever keep talking like this about this beautiful idea. But when we journal about it and we say, look, even Seneca didn't see this. Or look, I never saw this before, and then I took it, and then, wow, something came to me, and then I journaled about that for half an hour or whatever. And I took it somewhere completely different where the letter was going. Whatever happens is fine. Not only fine, that's exactly what needs to happen. And when you engage with these ideas like this, even the most ancient ideas will become fresh, and they will become, or at least you will feel like, wow, this is my idea too. I partake in this too. This is mine too. This is all of ours, but I have a personal connection to it. Personal as in individual, my way of looking at it, my specific perspective on it, which I would have never gained otherwise. I would have always looked from someone else's perspective onto it. And so this is the beauty of journaling if done in this way. And once again, I only recommend it because I did it exactly like this, and it's been invaluable to me. Invaluable. I would not give it up for anything. And you will surprise yourself. I mean, you're gonna want to start quoting yourself, right? Because you'll say, "Wow, I don't even feel like I wrote this. It's just, yeah, I don't think I read this anywhere, and it certainly wasn't in the letter I just read. It just came to me, and I had to write it down, but." I don't feel like I could have ever come up with this. But again, I didn't take it from somewhere, so it must be from me. So wow, what an amazing thing. This is what the human mind can do if you open it up just enough, right? And so this is a beautiful
Alright.
thing. This is what I recommend, highly, highly recommend, but not as in do this to get this result. It's just one friend speaking to another. It changed my life. And so I suggest it to you because I want the very best for you. And so you can try that and see if it's a joy to you and beneficial to you as well. Or if it's not, that remains to be seen, right?
Yeah, I surely want to try and see for myself.
All right. And you can start anywhere. You don't have to think, because it's still ongoing. We're at letter 105 right now, but they're all active. They're all ongoing. You can start at letter 1. You can also go to letter 48. It doesn't matter. They're also not connected in the sense that one builds onto another. So it's so free, so wonderful. If there's a bit of resistance to start in the beginning, or if you're not quite connecting with the first letter, go jump to any other letter. Look at the little headlines, what they're kind of supposed to be about. Maybe something appeals to you. If that's letter 80, then it's 80. If it's letter 2, it's 2. It doesn't matter. Okay?
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you very much for bringing all this. And again, it's a good opportunity, as I move you back to the audience, to once again remind everyone who's listening about the Seneca letters. I can only put it there. I can only offer it. I send my entry to you in the newsletter every single week, and I post it here on Discord rather, and I put it everywhere I can, and I talk about it as much as I can, I think, and I can only suggest it to you. It is you who then would have to go on and do it, actually. Right? We can't do that for you. It's, as far as a practice goes, for intellectuals such as ourselves, right? This is, I think, the way to go. It's a beautiful thing. It's at least a way, one of the proper beautiful ways. And so I think we have time for one more speaker, and I will invite them.
Pleasure to meet you, Atesh.
Hi, is it your first time speaking?
Yes, it is.
Okay, welcome.
Thank you. So I guess I'll start then.
Yeah.
A topic I wanted to bring to discussion was the pursuit of becoming someone you want to become, or achieving goals you want to achieve. Let's say being a great artist, great writer, engineer perhaps, or from the aspect of it being quantifiable, having your art being in a museum, selling X amount of books, creating or engineering something that's benefited an X amount of people. Sometimes in the pursuit of those things, of trying to become someone who is perhaps more virtuous than your current self, sometimes the uncertainty of falling short can become very daunting. So something I wanted to ask was, what do you think, or how do you think someone should reconcile with that? Should we find solace in the very pursuit of the path itself? Or, I know it might sound stupid, but I'm going to ask it anyways. Should one just give up because the improbability of failure is very imminent, or at least seems to be?
Well, thank you for being here. Thank you for your question. Thank you for this openness, and thank you for bringing it here. You've already gotten what you're looking for, but you don't know it, because just by this so-called pursuit, by this tension in the good sense that you are putting on these things, not letting them go, because we all have these thoughts, we all have these ideas. I truly believe in that. I think we all think about what really is peace, right? Is it what everyone is saying, and this chasing and this doing? Is that what peace is? Or at least I'm suspicious. What is it? But then whatever, a logistical issue happens, something happens, and we say, okay, enough of that. So many people say, I don't have time for philosophy. It's one of the funniest sentences to me, because philosophy translates directly the love of wisdom. Who does not have time for the love of wisdom? What are we living for? Right? If not knowing the self, if not knowing what beauty is, or to experience it, the love of wisdom, I do not have time for. Okay. Instead, I don't have time for the love of wisdom because I still got to clean the bathrooms, tomorrow guests are coming into my house. So we have time to clean the bathroom, but we don't have time for the love of wisdom. Amazing. And so this you already are not engaging in anymore, right? You've put the love of wisdom first. You're talking about, how can I get there? How can I become the virtuous person that I know is in my capacity, that I know I can do? Others have done it, so maybe I can do it too. So you're already there, whatever you think you need to go. And but on this, I want more clarification. If we are seeing this love of wisdom, if we are seeing that everything already is, and we, rather than become something, we must merely recognize something in order to have a full, beautiful, joyous human experience. If this is seen, if we are reading and we are writing and we are discoursing as we are now, in order to gain more of a vision of what peace really is, of what beauty really is, of what love really is, of what truth really is, how can we fail in this? Like, how is there a danger, or even an imminent one, as you said, of failure? How is this possible?
Should I respond?
Yes, please.
Yes. Well, I think the sense of imminent failure might be coming from having the wrong outlook on what it is that we're trying to become, only deeming ourselves having become such things by external factors or qualifications, rather than the very act of striving towards it, is what I would say.
But are you looking to dedicate yourself to virtue, for example?
Yes.
So who can take virtue from you?
Um, I would say that my own actions, if I deem them to be unvirtuous.
But do your own actions, are they separate from you? Are they some separate entity that has its own mind and they can just take the virtues away from you and you're left penniless and broken?
No, I wouldn't think so.
Can virtue be given to you?
I would like to think that we are the ones that maybe perhaps produce it or have it.
We are the ones perhaps who produce it, you said?
Yeah, I think the way I look at it, at least, is our own actions define us. So based on what I do, if it is within alignment of what I deem to be virtuous, then I then by action become virtuous.
Interesting. So you are in need of proving to yourself that you are virtuous by letting actions speak. Is that the idea?
I think that's mostly the criteria I've been judging myself on, yes.
And here we again here, I have been judging myself. So there's the I, and there's the you, and the I is judging the you.
It appears so, yes.
How many people are you? How many people are inside of you?
Just one.
Right. So I want to tell you, the one that is judging you is not you. The one that is judging is a thought construct. It's the thought construct that knows what virtue is and what vice is. Let's say if you count fairness as a virtue, right? And you accidentally treat someone unfairly, then there's the thought construct there that knows, this goes against the rules of fairness, of justice, and that you perceive as a judgment, because we are still identifying with thoughts. Look, this is a thought construct. This is not you. There's only the one you, right? That's you. And this one does not judge. The true self does not judge. The true self is just of an observing nature. It's a seeing nature. It does not think and then change its mind and then become a different thing and have several versions of itself. Oh, this version of me was like this one's like this one's seeing that one. The true self is not like that. The true self is behind all of this. The true self is what is observing the thoughts, the emotions, the opinions, the beliefs. And those opinions and beliefs can change and are changing constantly. You used to not even know about the virtues, then you used to not care about them, then you used to care about them a little bit, and now you say, I am dedicated, and perhaps in the future it will be some other way. But behind all of that, who is there? I would take that one to be the true self, not the one that is coming and going and the changing beliefs. This is how it is possible for people to say, a part of me thinks this way, but a part of me knows this. This is an opinion, and this is an opinion, and I'm identifying with these things. And so I think the opinion of something I am. Meaning, when I see some sort of a car and I say, oh, that's not a car that should be driven by a man. That car has a feminine look to me, whatever that means, okay? Some people think like this, right? And so that's an opinion. Clearly is, right? It's an opinion. And it can be true, it can be false, it can be all those things, but it is an opinion. And the one who identifies with the opinion, the true self can identify with things. If you identify with that opinion, then you will think of yourself as the person who is judging that person for driving a car that they should not be driving or whatever, or that they should be driving. So becoming a virtuous person, recognizing the true self, knowing thyself, as the ancient Greeks say, is not to change oneself, but to recognize that the so-called self is just a bunch of opinions, just a bunch of thoughts, just a bunch of ideas, not the true self. The true self was the one identifying with them, giving them meaning, giving them energy, so to speak, right? Approval. And so this is what you need to see, and this is what is evident when you say, I am judging myself. I am disappointed in myself. I am proud of myself. People who speak in this way, and I'm not saying everyone who says this thinks that way. Language is just often indicative of how we think. But we can say these things and not actually think that way. That's entirely possible. And in fact, we do, because to communicate, we have to use this kind of language, right? But it is indicative, and I think that's what's going on in this particular scenario here as well, where you are identifying with the one who knows that unfairness, injustice is not a virtue. And in my opinion, this is a true belief. But I want to show you the irrefutable thing, which is that you are not your beliefs. I understand you want to have that belief and you want to live your life according to that belief, and I think that's a beautiful thing. But you are not the belief. So the belief is what asks for proof. It says, this is the belief. Actions speak louder than words. That's another belief. You're identifying with that belief too. Actions speak louder than words. So this idea of what is virtuous is combining with this idea of that actions speak louder than words, and from that results another idea, and we call that a thought construct, a mental construct. And then with that construct, you are identifying. So it feels like a personality, right? Because all these opinions, all these beliefs, all these memories, all these ideas going on. And when you identify with it, that feels like a self. It feels like, this is who I am. This is my personality. I like this. I see this. I approve of this. I disapprove of this. And I am still lacking in this. These are all ideas, opinions, beliefs, judgments. But to know thyself, as the ancient Greeks say, is to be able to observe that and say, this thing, I see all the opinions, all the beliefs, all the ideas, all the concepts that are contained in this. And I think they're good. Oh, this one is not so good. I'll throw that away. And otherwise, that seems pretty good. Okay. But you are not this. You can work on this, like I said. You can become more virtuous, or whatever you want to call it. You can do that. But please know that you are working on the role, the personality. The word personality comes from the word persona, and the word persona means mask. Your personality is a role, and there's nothing wrong with having roles. The firefighter is a role. The firefighter comes and puts my house out and saves my life. So they decide to be that role as a career, as what they're going to do today. And that's excellent. That's beautiful, unless we identify with the role. If the firefighter goes home long after the job, right? The uniform's off, where the kids are playing, dinner's served, and they're still thinking, when I put out this fire, I could have done this faster. And this is not my standard. I know better. I've been taught better. I have all the training. I have no excuse to act like this. And this is incompetence. And because they've identified with the firefighter role, which objectively has not been carried out to its fullest potential, perhaps, now they feel like they are not living up to their fullest potential, that they as a being, as a simple existence, they are not quite there where they need to be. They are lesser now. And if next week they do something better than expected, they say, oh, I am better now. And the sense of self just keeps fluctuating like that, depending on what we identify with. Because that what we can identify with, that can and does change all the time. And can be impacted and is impacted by external factors, chance, luck, fate, if you believe in it, natural catastrophes, other people's opinions, other people's actions, certainly all the time. And so we feel that other people's beliefs, our own beliefs, other people's actions, our own actions, or random events in the world can make us better or can make us worse. But what they are making better or worse is not you. It's whatever you've identified with: the career, the object, the memory, the role, the idea of virtue. Someone can come, like right now, anyone with a mouth. This is the danger of identity. This is the danger of identifying with things that we are not. Anyone with a mouth can come hurt you. Because you said you've dedicated yourself to virtue, which for your personality is a good thing. But if you believe that you are dedicated to virtue, that you will be better or worse, that you should be judged on your virtuosity, then you are going to be open to attack. Because I right now could say, what is virtue to you? And then you say, well, there are multiple virtues. In my opinion, the chief virtue is justice, to do what is right. And then I said, you don't know what's right. Or no, that's not you've got it all wrong. I want to tell you, integrity is the chief virtue. You don't even know the virtues. Look, even in this little fake scenario, in this thought experiment, you feel a little bit of offense. You can imagine yourself in that scenario, and even just visualizing that scenario, if I really said that and really meant it, you can see that you'd be offended. And even just visualizing the offense is offending you a little bit, just a little bit. I'm not saying it's a problem, but this is just to show you that you're identifying with this, but it is not you. You are the one who can act virtuously or not act virtuously, and you happen to choose to do your best in the daily world to act virtuously as much as possible. You are that one. Not the virtuous or unvirtuous or not quite virtuous enough actions that you do, that you end up doing. You are not that. Those actions can be criticized. Those actions can be seen as lacking or as almost perfect. What an amazing act. If you feel better because someone sees your virtuosity, even if it's the so-called self, yourself, as you said, I want to prove this to myself. Who are you proving this to? If you feel better when this is seen and appreciated, a virtuous act, or if you feel worse that you yourself or anyone else is seeing that you have not acted as virtuously as you could, if you feel one way or another about it, that is the giveaway sign, 100% guaranteed. You are identifying with something that you are not. You are identifying with thought concepts. You're identifying with actions. You're identifying with the idea that you need to actions prove intentions. And you're identifying with the idea that your self-worth, your being, your existence can be judged by your actions. Again, these can be correct beliefs. I'm not saying anything about that, because that would just be my opinion. But what is not an opinion is that you are not your thoughts, your actions. Without you, they do not exist. Without them, you do exist. You have existed before you ever did any virtuous act, before you even knew of the word virtue, before you ever decided to prove to yourself that you can be more virtuous. You were still existing. You were still there. So you can and did exist before the concept of virtue, but the concept of virtue for you cannot exist without you. And so which one are you then? Right? And so this I offer to you just as a suggestion, as it has been pointed out to me. I want to pass it on to you. You can observe that yourself and see if it makes any sense, if it shows up in your experience, if it adds anything to your understanding, your vision of how things are. And this you have to experiment with. This, you be scientific about this. make experiments, observe. And that's all there is to this is philosophy. This is the love of wisdom, to go back to the beginning. People do not have time for this, they say. What is more important to make time for than this? To observe, to see, who am I? Who am I not? What am I? Am I my actions, my thoughts, other people's opinions of me? Am I that? When I go to work and I get a performance evaluation, am I the performance evaluation? Is that me? If that's not me, then why do I feel like I have become worse and I need to become better and I need to do this and then I get somewhere? Why do I think that? So the examination of beliefs is philosophy. And this we do not have time for. I find that amazing. And so I hope this are at least some things that you have heard now, because once you've heard them, they can be observed or tested, seen, looked at, right? And I hope that will help this person who better become. If you don't become, you're worthless, and I don't want to see you again here. If you don't get better at virtue, I don't want to see you again here, okay?
Yeah.
See, this, when someone else says it, we say is mean. This is a mean thing to say. This is an unfair thing to say. This is an improper thing to say. This is a wrong thing to say. But when this saying is happening inside of your head, you approve of it. You say, yeah, you're so right. I need to get better. Why? Because you think you yourself are saying this. But it's not, it's someone else. It's a rude, improper, mean person saying this. But you've identified with that person. And that so-called person is the ego, is the false self, is the not you, is an identity. And so because it's your identity, you think it is you saying this to yourself, and that makes it right and proper. It is not so. Just like I can have no right to say it, this thought has no right to be made into a person by you, and in fact, to be identified by you as you. It has no right. Is this a little clearer?
Yeah, it's very insightful, I'd have to say. This idea I'm very new to, which is that the identity, the persona, isn't actually the being. It is but a mask. So throughout the time you were talking, I would catch myself asking, if this is to be so, then who am I? Which I find kind of funny, and it's something I definitely have to further look into, experiment, be maybe scientific about it, as you said.
This is the
But
beginning of the end of the false self. When you start to say,
Mhm.
wait, who am I actually? Because look, for all this time, all you're thinking about, how can I be more virtuous? How can I do more of this? How can I do less of this? How can I overcome this? How can I learn this? How can I change this? Without ever asking, when I say I, who am I talking about? Right? We spend our entire lives thinking about what is good for us, what is bad for us, and how to avoid one thing and how to get more of the other. Well, we never go further back. We always go outside, but we never go further back and say, wait a minute, who is this one that I am working for? So once the so-called journey stops going outside and starts turning around and comes back inside and goes deeper than before, than where it started out from, that's the beginning of the end. And it's already the end, actually, in many ways. And so a lot of people have a scary experience, all of a sudden realize, wait a minute, I don't even know who I am. What? That can be scary. But again, who's scared? The true self is what it is. It always was. Us now realizing that it was not what we thought it was is not scary to the true self. It's scary to the one who was sucking energy this whole time from the true being, right? There's this non-being that is being identified as the being, and that one is constantly being fed and approved of and given energy. And now this one is scared because the one who actually has the resources is becoming suspicious and is saying, should I really be feeding you, which I thought was I? And so, but it doesn't have to be that way, right? Because the truth has never harmed you, as we always say. And whatever comes out of this is exactly what is reality. And after all, you want to live in reality. You don't want to live in unreality, because that's what we call delusional, right? People who live in unreality, which is not even possible. And so take it easy, okay? This is, again, the part of the mind, just like when you were talking about virtue, that is constantly asking, how much longer, what to do next, what if this doesn't work out the way we thought, what do we do? Don't allow that to come into this as well, okay? The idea of who you are, which you can only really pursue by learning who you are not. You can never know who you are. At least that's what I believe, and I don't want to say that like it's fact. Examine that belief too. Right? Maybe I'm wrong. But either way, I think it is a very helpful practice to look at all the things that you are not. Say, am I this? Am I this? Am I this? And by reducing the things that you thought you were, you are inevitably getting closer to that, which not getting closer, you are already that what you are, but in terms of the vision of what you truly are, you're taking things out. You're making things simpler, right? And so only what is really you will remain, because that one cannot be taken out. You cannot take yourself out of your identity. You can only take those things out that you can do without. And if you can do without them, you are not them. And if you're not them, why identify with them? Why call them you? Okay? And there's no rush. There's no deadline. There's no pressure. There's no time wasted. Everything is conducive to this. Everything is a part of this journey, if you want to call it that. It's not really a journey because there's no movement in it. But again, no pressure, no deadline. Don't allow those ideas. Don't identify with those ideas of how much longer and what do we do now. And our whole life was a lie. We didn't know who we were. That these are all thoughts and ideas and concepts, again, not needed. Okay? And we are here, right? This is what this place is for. Not only kinship, but this whole community is supposed to be a group of aware people who are also observing this, who are also seeing this. And so you can always be here, not as a requirement, not as a need, right? Not as, without these people, I can maybe not accomplish this. No, not like that. Just people doing the same thing, right? Just like any hobby, if you like bicycling and you go join other bicyclists, that can be nice. But you don't need other people to ride your own bicycle. And so this is just a pleasure. It's just a joy. And it's full of pointers and suggestions. So it's a great place for that. But that's all it is. And so you can always come back here and we can speak more about this, and you can share more of your insights and say, look, this happened recently and I've been thinking about this, or I'm still very confused about this, or you know what, I have to say I totally disagree with you on this, and I wanted to let you know why, because you are my friend, and I would like to rescue you from this ignorance that you're in. That's one of the most beautiful forms of love, right? And so if we truly love each other, if we truly love our our fellow human beings, then we can also do that. Not a requirement, not expected, but it's a beautiful thing to do. And is that not also a virtuous thing to do? Right? So if we are chasing virtue, then this might be a part of it. And so that's a beautiful thing to interact like this. And I thank you very much for your fundamental question. This is the question, right? All questions lead to this question. And so it's beautiful. And Thank you so much for bringing it here. I really appreciate it, especially as a first-time speaker. You did not listen to fear. You did not listen to shyness, if there is any. And you came anyway, and you benefited everyone. So thank you very much for doing that.
Likewise, thank you very much. I appreciate the well thought out response. It's really insightful. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. And I will move you back to the audience with great gratitude. Once again, beautiful. You two are a living example. You are questioning, you are asking, you're examining within yourself mostly. And this, again, to say it again and again, makes it inevitable that we will gain this vision of peace, that which has always been there. I also want to give you the next question of the fortnight. But before I do so, a quick announcement. As with some other changes, such as the subscriptions and everything we talked about a little bit before, I am also, I've also decided, at least for now, to reduce the frequency of the kinship meetings only to replace them with something else. So the kinship meetings, I'm thinking, will also move to a fortnightly schedule, if that's a word. Meaning they will happen now every 2 weeks rather than every week. But that time I am replacing with a meeting similar to kinship, but it's not going to be recorded. It's not going to be made public. And I'm also going to be conducting it a bit differently. That is to say, I'm actually going to be conducting it, in the true sense of the word, a little less, because I would like some other people whom we meet all the time here who have so many beautiful insights. I want to give them more of time to speak. And I want to maybe someone comes up and asks a question and I'm not the one responding to it. Maybe it's someone else. Or we do it together and we sort of bring 2-3 people into it and we discuss an idea and we really think it through from different perspectives, and the perspective that we think is benefiting all of us is the right one, is the true one, is going to emerge anyway. Sometimes, most of the time it's just really me offering a suggestion, and I don't know if that's always the best way to go about it. And selfishly also, I'm thinking, if someone comes up here and they have a totally different perspective and it's actually more effective and it's quicker and it's clearer, then I can adopt that perspective as well, right? This is the most beautiful form of theft that we should all be engaging in. As our friend Seneca says, everything that is said well is common property, right? No such thing as copyright in the realm of universal and timeless ideas. And so I want to steal, I want to benefit. And I also want to give room for other people to not only always be asking, but to be able to give and to say, look, I went to the same thing actually 10 months ago, last year, whatever. And I came to the kinship meeting and we talked and I developed it from there, and I've been journaling and I'm thinking, and I want to say this. And I haven't heard that said before, even in the Accepting the Universe space. And so that could be a very beautiful thing. And it could be yet a different form of discoursing, right? There's journaling, there's reading, there's kinship, there's chatting here in text form. That would be yet another form. And that one I want to make for subscribers, right? So kinship is open for everyone. That's the free option. And then there is going to be a very similar kinship that is a smaller group that is there, people who have been maybe engaging with these things for longer, and we really concentrate on these things, and we have a closer session, right? Smaller people, a little bit more intense, not recorded. Again, that can be important, because sometimes maybe we don't say things because we know they're gonna live on the internet or whatever. Not me, I don't, honestly, but it can be, I know it can be a barrier to speaking freely. And so I want to take that away as well. And to be able to do that is just going to take some extra resources, but I think, and that's why it's in a subscription. But even that subscription is quite low, I have to say. And I think it will be very much worth it. And so I invite you, of course, all these people that I'm speaking about. This is you. I'm speaking about you. And so I'd love to see you there. Otherwise, of course, Kinship, like I said, is still there, just every 2 weeks now. And it will also take off the load off me a little bit because editing these episodes, 2.5 hour long podcasts with video and sound and multiple participants, that takes me the better part of multiple days a week. And so when it's every week, that is really consuming. When we can have all the benefit of speaking even more when it's not recorded, because then I have even more time to do more of this. Because editing is not really part of the philosophical activity that I consider most beneficial. So it'll help a little bit like that too. So it'll help spiritually, logistically, non-logistically, all these kind of ways. I think it would be beautiful. At least it's something to try. It's an experiment at the very least. And so I think it will be beautiful and a whole new way to engage with these ideas and to engage with each other right here and to really build something that is greater than ourselves in many ways. And and yes, that's also where you'll find this meeting. That's where you'll find this shirt that you can get if you like it. Again, it's a free little gift anyway. And things are changing. Change is good. Change is beautiful, right? We're always moving ever closer to the vision of how things really are. At least we think so. And so we got to act on that, and we'll want to move with that. And your new question of the week is quite an amazing one, I think, and it's a beautiful one. And it sort of builds on the previous one, I suppose. The new question of the week of the fortnight is, if everything was exactly the way you want it to be, what would you do with your time? If everything was exactly the way you wanted it to be, what would you do with your time?